Hi class, I'm sorry I cannot be there with you for the last class. Actually I'm in New York right now. Yesterday was my second day of my new job. I'm not totally prepared. Everything is kind of rush. Anyway, thank you Dr. England to letting me to do this presentation by YouTube. Okay, let's start. My topic is the soil erosion and the desertification in Kenya, and I'm telling you there is a solution to improve the situation. I'm going to address my presentation to two parts. The first part is I'm going to address the environment problems in Kenya. The second part, I'm going to introduce a Green Zone Development Support Project, which is a innovative agriculture project in Kenya. It could be a eco-economic solution for many developing countries. Okay, let's summarize the Kenya's environment problems. First one, forestations. They cut down a lot of trees for farming land. Forestations were leading to the soil erosions, and finally the desertification going to be a nightmare for the country. The water pollution is another acute problem there in Kenya, dominantly by the fertilizers and overusing of pesticide. Air pollution, like most of developing countries, become more and more severe problem. And it is worth to mention that indoor pollution is more issue in Kenya because many people still using the wood as their burning fuel. And the last one is acid rain become more and more frequent. For this presentation and my paper, I'm only going to cover the deforestation, soil erosion, and desertification part. And the chain of environmental degradation. Everything started from the rapid population growth. And then you have many people to feed, then overcultivation will happen. Overcultivation means the farmer must cut down more trees to farming, and then their land will lost the fertile, and which leading to the soil erosion, and then the desertification will happen. Desertification now is threatening about 2/3 of the population in Kenya. Everything starts from the mismanaged agriculture activities. Deforestation in Kenya is very severe nowadays. In 1963, Kenya had a forest cover of 10%. Now it's only about less than 2%, 1.7%. The Kenya Forestry Working Group has estimated that Kenya will lose about $300 million each year by deforestation from tourism, tea sectors, and energy sectors. Deforestation has happened from activities such as unregulated charcoal production, logging of indigenous trees, marijuana cultivation in the indigenous forest, livestock grazing, and human settlements. The economic impact of Kenya's 5 indigenous forests, which they are called the water tower, as these forests store water during rainy season and release them slowly. It's huge. Um, cause they cut down so many trees, the soil there cannot hold water anymore. Actually, after raining, the soil just washed away with water. Okay, can you tell me the difference between those two pictures which take in exactly same spots, one in 1986 and one in 2003? I don't know what's the percentage of the forest loss, but I guess it's at least 80%. And you see the picture on the right? There's not much tree there. Even in those green area, the color is very shallow, which means the vegetation there is not much. Deforestation will leading to erosion. Without the plant cover, erosion can happen and sweep the land into river. The agriculture plant that often replace the trees cannot hold onto soil. And in fact, like many of those plants such as coffee, cotton, soybeans or wheat can actually just worsen the soil condition. Once the land is out of power, out of fertile, the agriculture producer just move on, cut down more trees, and the cycle of soil loss just continue. According to a research, um, since all the land in Kenya are farming continuously, now only about 10% of the land in Kenya is still fertile. But you know, the population is keep growing, and the many farmers they are willing to plant coffees, trees, cottons, those cash crops, and nobody actually want to grow in food. And more and more people that means they're going to cut down more trees for burning for fuel. So the land become very fragile, and it's kind of become exhausted. The wind just can blow away, and okay, here's another a set of picture taken in exactly same place. We can see the land degradation there, and the picture from left, it's clear. We see the land color there. It's much darker than the picture on the right. The picture on left was taken in 2000. The land there is still fertile, but you know, only 7 years, those lands literally become deserts. So the soil erosion will eventually leading to desertification. And desertification is the encroachment of desert condition on moisture zone along the desert margin, where plant cover and soil are threatened by desiccation through overuse, in part by human and their domestic animals, and possibly just by the bad policies. The study in 1997 shows that 64% of Kenya's land was potentially subject to moderate desertification, and 23% of 23% of them are extremely dangerous. In early 2000s, 30% is become like a severely dangerous, and 12 million people, or I say A third of Kenya's population depended directly on the land that is being degraded. Okay, let's move on to the second part. The second part, I'm going to introduce you a project called the Green Zone Development Support Project. This project, somehow they found a balance point between economic development and environment improvement. The project is promoted by a tree company. They actually plant trees to protect the environment, but trees are cash crops. So they said tree farming can reduce the poverty. Yes, of course. And tree farming can help to protect the forest if it with the proper management. Is it true? The overall project goal is to contribute the poverty reduction. It also aims at improve of forest cover for water and biodiversity conservation in Kenya. The project subjects are to promote forest regeneration and conservation for environmental protection and to improve rural livelihood and income of community which live nearby the forest. Buffer belt watershed management is the most important component of the project. This component has three subcomponents. The first one is restoration of nature forests in environmentally sensitive area. Okay, they plant tree. They protected nature forests as first, and then they plant more trees outside the indigenous forest. They called the the field wood plantation, which those land planting for the field wood are not that good for the tea tree plantation, and the tea tree act as a buffer zone about 100 meters wide to protect, to surround the forest, to protect the forest, to lock the water in the soil. Okay, how can they do that? I mean, how they must educate and train their farmers. Okay, here's the picture of buffer zone. You see, they try to leave a forest between the farm and the wetland, or they leave a buffer zone between they planting their tree and their tea trees like away from the forest, but I mean not that away, like they keep not just adjunct to forest. They leave some area between them. And the project regulates that the buffer zone must at least 100 meters wide. That's because tea tree plant farming still need to use the chemical fertilizers and pesticides. 100 meters should be far enough to preventing those chemicals to affect the indigenous forest. For pest controls, instead of using the expensive pesticide, the project suggests the farmer to do more pruning works. Pruning is essential for keeping the tea bushes healthy and productive. Pruning of diseased branch and leaves can cut the life of pest. Also can stimulate the growth of new branch and new leaves. Browning manage can Browning also manage the height of the bush, just makes them easier to harvest. Um, and browning browning tea trees uh, also those leaves on the ground provide milk for the soil. The milk can just the mulch can just keep the soil be moisture. Um, the project also teaching the farmer to manage their water waste properly instead of just like um, just throw their wastewater away, domestic wastewater away. They are suggesting to pouring the wastewater in the drainage canal, which actually can be benefit for their like crops like bananas and other things. Also, they also suggest they regulate their farmers do not pour or do not wash their like pesticide and chemical equipment in the river. Instead of that, um, instead of that, they washed it and they drain it, they dry it in a safe area. Mm, the project also teaching farmer and suggesting farmer to planting the indigenous trees and napier grass for soil and water conservation. Therefore, the buffer zone between tea farming and forests will not lose the water and soil. Um, the project so far has a huge success. According to their evaluation, monitoring and evaluation, they they provide at least 10,000 working opportunities for the communities who live nearby the forest, and and their income increased like 130% in 6 years. Um, and the forest regeneration about 2,000 hectares. They're pretty. Those are pretty impressive achievement. Um, they preserve the environment and they also develop the economic situation in the local area. So for the conclusion, Kenya today and underlying is the determination to be among a group of pioneering country putting its nature-based assets at the center of sustainable development ambitions. We saw a lot, including this green zone project, we saw a lot of reform in policies and laws and regulations. The government pay more attention on the environment improvement. And they developed a lot of projects, including this one, to train the farmers and train their citizens to be more environmental friendly. And they developed monitoring and evaluation project to conserving conservation planning and ecosystem. Okay, that's all for the presentation. Thank you for listening. Okay. I'm just a little bit. I just feel a little bit weird to speak in front of the screen. And now I'm trying to stop recording. That's it.